7, 6.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Baxter County Roundtable, episode number 24. We had a busy week last week. We had the opening filing. That was fun. We had dinner, meet the candidates dinner. And now we're inviting those potential the actual politicians to visit us. And tonight we have Eddie Griffin, who's JP Mountain Home Police Chief, current District 8 JP, and first we're going to lead off with Dennis Frank, without the S, and he's incumbent District 1 JP. And introduce yourself,
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about you,
Sure.
and then we'll yak.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on the podcast. I appreciate it. I'm Dennis Frank. I'm seeking my fourth term as JP in District 1. District 1 is Midway Lakeview area. If you're familiar with the area, my boundaries are the northern boundary is County Road 15 where the Cowboy Church is. My eastern boundary is I-5 and Highway 5 and 126. My southern boundary is High Tower Creek and County Road 8. And my west boundary, if you keep walking and your hat starts floating, you're in the White River, and that's my west boundary there.
It sounds like you're in a good area.
I like it. Yeah.
Very popular area for the river. So, well, anyway, glad you could make it.
Mm-hmm.
You're a JP candidate,
Right.
and tell us a little bit about what you have accomplished,
Okay.
or your favorite pieces of legislation,
Sure.
per se, and where you want to go.
Well, the thing I really am proud of doing, since I've been a JP since 2020, so this will be my fourth term. But during my tenure, the Quorum Court really addressed the low pay that the sheriff deputies and the Baxter County employees had. When I was there, my first term, Sheriff Montgomery had vacancies he couldn't fill because our pay scale was so low and he couldn't attract quality people. But we addressed that. He no longer has any kind of vacancies. The JLR and the sheriff deputies. Baxter County employees are making a good living wage now.
Are we still losing employees to other
No.
agencies at all?
No.
No,
I mean, you're going to have people that want to move on up and move themselves up the ladder, which is that's fine.
Understandable.
But he has no problem starting deputies or employees at Baxter County who step in. So
Yeah, it's
we're
my
not losing.
understanding that he had to compete with our other JP candidates in that area, with the sheriff's department, with the police department.
I'm not sure if that was true, but Sheriff Montgomery liked to say that.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. But you talk about the county employees, that's a very important issue.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get good employees, and I think for the most part, we've got some very good people,
Yes.
in the county. You want to keep them.
Absolutely.
And the only way you're going to be able to keep them is if you can pay them a competitive wage
Sure.
and attract those people. And once you've found out that they're good, you got to keep them
Mhm.
because number one, it's hard to find good people,
Yep.
especially nowadays. Once you invest in the training and everything to get them to where they really are able to function efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a whole lot cheaper to pay them a little bit more than it is to recruit another one,
Right.
train another one, and just get into that cycle.
You're not going to find somebody off an unemployment line that can run a grader.
No.
That's true. I think I've kind of noticed that we've got some pretty good road people out by us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the other candidates this Saturday night, and most people don't realize how much mileage we've got in gravel roads in this county.
Well, and I think it takes somebody that's pretty experienced to actually do a good job.
It does.
And some of these roads that have these giant crevices,
Sure.
you gotta be able to read the terrain.
Yeah, and I was talking to Judge earlier, because we had some pretty bad issues out Hand Cove area there, you know, where we live. And, you know, he said that one of the problems he had is that he needed to find some more experienced graders, you know, operators. Because like you said, you know, you can't just take somebody that's, you know, a rookie that's never run a road grader before, stick him on there and expect him to be able to do an adequate job. But I think we've got 300 something miles of just gravel roads, county roads. And that being said, I don't know how many road graders we've got now, but probably not enough.
That's another thing that we've been able to do. We've been able to get in new equipment. The equipment we had for the road, I mean, it was getting old and aged, and that's tough work. So the equipment breaks. And this last term, we were able to upgrade a lot of our equipment, get some new things in. We did the same thing for the sheriff department with some new vehicles for the deputies. I heard some horror stories before I started here that, you know, the cars were in the shop more than they were on the road. So that's been corrected. So
Yeah, I think all the county vehicles take a pretty good beating. You know, especially cop cars are running all the time, pretty much 24/7. The graders, not so much, but man, this terrain is rough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
it takes its toll.
You start grading roads, and I know when I took care of the roads out there in California, there in my neighborhood, you know, there's some of these roads, and it's down to rock, and I mean solid rock,
Yeah.
and it erodes around the rock, and there's just really not a very good way of working around that, because once that rock is sticking up higher than the road around it, you gotta haul in some bays and compact it and go through all kinds of iterations to get it working again.
So anyway, do you participate in any other committees?
Oh, absolutely. I'm the current chairman of the budget committee.
Okay.
I'm also on the personnel committee, and I'm also on the economic development committee.
And what can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in those committees?
Well, we just recently passed the 62 budget, or the 26 budget. I'm getting it.
Just like that.
Myself, yeah. Again, I'm not sure many people understand that the county estimates what the revenue is going to be each year. And from that estimate, state law requires the county to only budget 90% of that revenue. We have, in the last 6 budget years that I've been on the court and been on the budget committee, we have come in at well below that 90% level. This last year, for 26, we're going to be at 82%. So what that means is we've got 8% of that 90% money setting aside for any kind of special needs that comes up during the year. It's a safety net, contingency fund. We've done that every year in the last 6 years that we've not budgeted 90% of our revenue. And there's a lot of counties that do have to budget their 90% because they just don't have enough money to keep the lights on if they don't do that. So I think that's something I'm proud of, that we can do that here, and we're blessed in this county with the ability to do that.
Well, we're seeing an influx of people coming in. Our sales tax basically continues to climb a little bit. Don't take that as a green light to go raise our sales tax, but we are fortunate, that financially, we've got a good enough population base and a good enough, I guess you saw it called mostly retail base, business base here that provides a pretty good tax base for continuing operations.
Well, when you have excess budget, was what I call it, excess, every year, Doesn't that tell you that the taxes are too high, maybe? Or
Well,
what
a
do
lot
you
of that,
think about
what
that?
of that has really driven in the last couple of years was Biden inflation. Sales taxes based on retail.
Yeah,
When prices go through the roof on inflation, tax dollars follow. And now we've seen that, it's tailing off now. I mean, that's, this last year, 25, was the first time in about 4 years that we've had decreases and negative numbers on month-to-month comparisons, because again, it's coming back down. The other thing, but what helps with that excess, that increase that we're not budgeting, so we're not spending it in the departments, that's where we're getting the money for the road graders, we're getting the money to do the health departments that we built in this last year. And so that's again, and plus we have some sort of emergency show up. We've got some funds. We're not laying people off to again keep the lights on.
yeah, okay, I think that's probably a good
Like
thing.
having to pay $100,000 for a new card for the elevator in the courthouse, or
Something
some
like that.
ungodly
Something like that.
amount of
yeah.
money.
I mean, yeah, things like that. They're unforeseen and they break.
Was there any other fun stuff that's going on that everybody should know about? The upcoming quorum court, what's, about?
In the next year, I mean, the biggest thing we're going to be doing next year is, I think the judge mentioned that Friday night. He's got plans for building an annex building where the church, the Baptist church was behind, I think off of 6th Street there. That's gonna hold the tax assessor, tax collector, have a voting area that you won't have to use the churches anymore. Then what that'll do, that will free up that prime retail space on the square where the tax assessor and the tax collector is right now. We own those buildings. We can turn around and sell them, and again, and we can use that money elsewhere. He's gonna use that money to build a nice annex building. We're also, we've already broke dirt, and we're gonna be building a new corners building. When I found out what was going on with the corner, it's kind of sad to say, if you had a deceased family member, car accident, whatever, and you had to go view the body, the family, the coroner had to bring you to the warehouse, the road and bridge warehouse, the freezer, that's where they kept
Oh my
the
gosh.
deceased person.
Yeah,
And that is not a quality thing to do. It's not anything, it's what we've got to live with right now, but we're going to have that fixed. And that's the need for the new builder, the new corner builder.
it's almost adding insult to injury. You know, a family is
Absolutely.
Showing a little disrespect,
in
almost.
their worst times, you know, and now they've got to go down and view their loved one in an environment like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
you know, exactly.
That's going to be corrected. So that's probably the biggest thing that in the next year that we're going to be doing. I mean, who knows? I mean,
How about,
a lot of stuff showed up this
how about
last year.
next month?
Next month, usually a slow month is December. We've already passed the budget. In the years past, we were fighting with getting the budget approved up to the last quorum court meeting in December. But the last 2 years, we've been able to do it in November because we've been able to get everything in line.
That's the way it should be.
Better
Good.
planning.
Good to hear that.
Yeah.
Better planning. You know, if you're down to the crisis mode in the last minute, you know, it's usually not the best planning that you're going to put forth.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
you know, when you can start ahead of the schedule and get your plan in place and have plenty of time to review it, not just put it on paper and vote on it.
Sure.
You know, you usually get much better outcomes.
But,
Yeah.
So how did you work that? How
Go
did
ahead.
you swing it that you don't even have a challenger this time?
It's a
Just
thankless job and nobody wants it. No, I'm just lucky. You asked me a little earlier why did I want to do this? I moved into Lakeview in 2017, moved here when I retired from Valving Oil Company. And I met my next door neighbor, Gary Smith. Gary Smith was the JP in District 1. He's also our election commissioner right now. We got to meet him, good friend. We're dock mates because we have a dock on the Bull Shoals Lake. And one day he asked me, he goes, what's your political aspirations? And I said, I don't know, Gary, I don't really have any. And he goes, are you registered Republican? And I said, yes. He goes, I want you to take my place. I had to think about it. My dad was an alderman in Normandy, Missouri, up by North County. My mom was a treasurer for Normandy. So I was used to my family doing things politically as political service. I've kind of got that service mentality, I guess. I've been told that anyway. So I thought about it, and I told Gary, sure, I will. But if somebody else wants to run, and they know what they want to do, I'm going to bow out probably. Well, nobody showed up, and nobody has shown up since. So,
well, you're
but
no
I
fun.
enjoy it.
You're no fun. You wouldn't put up a fight.
In the past, have you had Democrat challengers?
No, I'm
Really?
not. I'm
That's-
not.
I guess that's a blessing as well.
I'm not.
Well, we don't want to risk having any of them directing
No.
our business.
No. But,
So have you forgiven me for going against you on y'all's proposed pay raise last year?
no, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. That's just something that, like I say, I'm also the county's representative for the quorum court at the Association of Arkansas Counties. And that's something that they bring up every year. We're down there. They show us the pay scales of different counties. That we're a class 4 county based on population. And they show us where we're at, and we're always at the bottom, and which I don't know why, because we're pretty close to the top on population.
Well,
And plus, we have a surplus, it sounds like. What I wouldn't have a problem.
Well,
Well,
Russ
it-
did.
it wasn't much money either.
But-
It was that my whole
And I'm
point.
generally against that sort of
Sure.
activity.
My point at that time was, it was, from my way of thinking, it was the optics of it.
Yes.
When everything was really, you know,
Sure.
under the Biden administration was really going south.
Mm-hmm.
Layoffs were going like crazy.
Right.
Inflation was through the roof, and I knew, you know, there's a lot of people around here that were really having a hard time,
Right.
you know. And I just felt like the optics of it were not good at that time.
Well, I agree. Even now, the optics wouldn't be good, but if you
It's much
could
better.
find a way to maybe implement the raise
Mm-hmm.
and have it be applicable on the next term, that would be
Okay,
more
so
palatable to me.
what we did was, we've always given a percentage increase to the Baxter employees, and we just tied in, okay, let's make the JPs part of that situation, and we can leave it go. And then
Yeah, I
every
mean,
year,
I think
they'll
that
get
the
a small
JPs
increase, and that's.
are underpaid.
And I'll be
They
honest,
should-
and
they're undercompensated.
I'll be honest with you. If you bring it up again, I won't be against it. I'm serious, you know, number one, I've observed now for almost 2 years what's been going on at the quorum court, and I am not dissatisfied. Let me put
Appreciate
it
it,
that way.
thank you.
And what is it, $375, I think it is?
It's gonna go to 400 and then a percentage,
Okay.
3%, and
But I mean,
that's
it's-
it, that's gonna be the base, it's gonna be just percentage from there on.
But it was $375, correct? I mean, that's not very much money. People say, well, it's only for an hour meeting. Well, yeah, but there's a lot of other.
Committee
Go sit
committee
with
meetings.
them.
I spend a whole lot more, being on the budget committee, I spend a whole lot more than 1 hour.
No, I
I would
understand.
hope so. I want you to be educated on the matters that
But,
come up.
you know, I just want people to know, you know, number one, why I was against it at that point. And number two, that, you know, we've got some pretty darn good, you know, we got a pretty darn good quorum court now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just like the county employees, you know, if you want to attract good candidates, there needs to be compensation relative that will attract those good candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, you know, it's the financial environment, economic environment in the country has improved significantly. In fact, at least inflation's down. It's gonna take a while for a lot of the other stuff to come back, but I think we're certainly on the right track, so,
That,
you know.
I guess that's what you talk about economic development, that's one of the things I did want to kind of bring up. We did establish a $50,000 fund in the budget each year for economic development. It has to go through the committee, so we're not writing blank checks to any commission, to any chamber, to anything. If people come to us and they say we want to do this to grow economy here, we look at it, we figure it out. Is it work? What kind of return we're going to get? And the county is paying directly to that person for whatever they're doing. So there's no more blank checks that in the past. How I feel how we're running this. If you're Christian and you're used to the parable of the three servants in Matthew, where the master gives the two servants money. One gives 5 bags of gold, the other guy gets 3 bags of gold, and the other guy gets 1 bag. 2 guys took the money and invested it and grew it. 1 guy stuck it in the ground. You know, I saw comments that they thought, well, the county gave $16,000 for this Aldi situation. Well, to me, if we could have taken that $16,000, and fixed potholes, and what does that do? I mean, that's no return on our investment. Yeah, it fixed the road for a little while, but potholes are gonna come back again. But if I can take $16,000 into an Aldi situation and grow that $16,000 to 5, 6, 7 times that each year, now I'm being a proper steward of the money that taxpayers give us to use. And that's how we are going to look forward on any of these economic development opportunities that come to us. It's going to have to be a return on investment, and it's going to be a solid thing. It's not going to be some fly in the night. I want to open a food truck. No, that ain't going to work.
Well, and I've talked to several of you, and Judge Lee as well. Number one, if you had said we're going to put back $250,000, I'd have been standing there screaming and yelling, okay? Because my way of thinking, let's face it, this is kind of an experiment you guys are going through because you've never done that before, okay? I think $50,000 is a very reasonable sum to start as you feel your way through and learn, how better to grow the economy around here. The other thing is that $16,000 went directly to a contractor that was prepping the site, a local contractor. Therefore, that $16,000 was plowed right back into the local economy. I think it was the same one that had done the prep work on the discount tire lot there, So, with that in mind, and I've got mixed emotions. I've read different studies on, how effective it is for governments to give money, for things like that. One study showed that it was every time, over the course of, I forget how many years, it resulted in a net loss of jobs. Well,
plus you have to be careful when it comes to picking winners and losers.
Yeah,
Government,
exactly.
That can be disastrous.
Exactly. That's why I say, when you're just paying local contractors to do some site prep work or install a culvert or put in a new driveway, something like that. As long as it's staying here, I have no heartburn whatsoever about it.
Sure. I mean, I know there are some comments that and we're talking about Aldi's coming here. Everybody said, well, if Aldi's want to come here, why are we giving them any money? They got plenty of money. It was kind of a sweetening the pot thing. Aldi's tried to come here 4 different times before this time, and it was always a zoning issue. There was a landowner that was too greedy. There was the dirt work was going to be too expensive for Aldi's to come in. the zoning, the traffic patterns weren't right. So this place, this was the one that looked like it was gonna be, but we didn't know how often was Aldi's gonna come back to the table.
Yeah.
So let's sweeten the party, we'll clean this lot for you. I did some more research on what the type of money that we were talking about, what Aldi's brings in. US Aldi stores average between 12 to $15 million a year, annual gross. 1% of Baxter's fee, we're gonna, that would be $120 to $150,000 a year. That's a hell of a return on investment on $16,000.
Yes, it is.
Now, some people will say, well, all you're doing is robbing from Walmart, robbing from Harps, you're taking from Town and Country. Well, Aldi's, the reason you want to come to Mountain Home, Aldi's already figured out. There's an Aldi's in Harrison, and there's a Aldi's in West Plains. We were losing 5,000 visits a year to West Plains, 12,000 visits a year to Harrison. We were already losing that money to those other counties.
Mm-hmm.
And that money alone, if we'd have kept that money in the county, that would have paid, they would have gave it back our $16,000 first year. And now, and that's just Mountain Home zip code.
Well,
That wasn't Baxter
and
County.
that argument really is not a good argument, because you bring all these in, now, you know, Walmart, all these others have competition, more competition. So
Sure.
that almost always translates into better things for the citizen, the consumer.
Yeah,
You know.
at the better pricing.
Yeah,
And being on this, I'm also a non-voting member on this, the Economic Alliance that the judge
North
asked me to
Central-
be on.
for North
The
Central.
North Arkansas Economic Alliance. And that's just for transparency for the quorum court, so I can report back what's going on. Our McDonald's are some of the top performing McDonald's franchises in the country. Walmart is one of the top performing Walmarts in the country. They're not gonna be bothered by Aldi's coming and selling inexpensive canned goods.
right.
I went down and visited, because I was very concerned. I was really interested in, about this, because as I was hearing these different stories, I went down and sat down with Danny Pugsley at the chamber, and she pulled it up. I mean, on the program that they use, Placer AI, and she showed me right there exactly everything that you're just talking about to substantiate that. The other thing is, with those thousands of people going to Harrison every month, they're not just going there for Aldi's.
No,
They're shopping at other stores
Oh, yeah.
in Harrison too.
there's a
So
Walmart right next to each of them.
exactly. So you're losing money, not just to the Aldi's, but to some of the other businesses that are right here in Mountain Home.
Mhm.
So it gets bigger. The picture gets bigger.
Yeah. So that, and people, they say, we need to attract a warehouse, manufacturing facilities and stuff here. We don't have the workforce here to fill a large warehouse, a large manufacturing facility. We'd end up robbing from some of the manufacturers already here, like Baxter, from the hospital. I mean, and other retailers would lose employees, because that's why we're more of a tourist-driven economy. So that's why retail is important to bring in, and you can bring in smaller manufacturers.
Yeah. Light manufacturers,
light
almost
manufacturing type
like
of
the
thing.
Injection molding place out
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
Those types of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So, and again, that's the other thing with this economic alliance is also, it's not just bringing in new business, it's also developing workforce, it's developing infrastructure, it's training business people how to run a better business, more profitable, that type of thing. So that's a good thing what they're doing.
It's a very complex and compound and complex issue when you start talking about bringing in new businesses, because everything from housing to, like you said, housing, workforce, the development, all those things play a big part into it. Well, thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that.
You're more than welcome.
I've got one question that's not real exciting, but it's kind of a backseat question. You know, before each quorum court meeting, you get a package, I guess, or a packet.
An agenda,
yeah.
and all the appropriations and resolutions that.
And my question, I keep asking everybody, and I'm not satisfied yet, but where does that agenda come from specifically?
Typically, it's developed in the judge's office. I mean, that's, our
Is it
people coming.
locally? Does
Oh,
the
yes.
agenda come from
Yes.
from local
Oh, yes, yeah,
entities or
it's
people?
all, it's, like the sheriff, if he needs, vehicles or he needs some equipment or something like that, he'll approach a judge and say, hey, you know, can we talk about this? And a lot of times when it's about money, that comes to my budget committee, and they have to meet there first, present that to us, we have to approve, the request, and then we send that to the quorum court, and that becomes part of the agenda. A lot of the stuff is just everyday, moving
Yeah.
money from somebody's budget that they've got it. Okay, I got this for toilet paper, but you know what? I need a new phone. Can I borrow some of this money from here and buy a phone? And that's a lot of times when these people don't understand it. We're sitting there going, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of yes men." We're just moving money back and forth.
Well, the thing is,
needed.
the
Yeah.
stuff where you're not moving money back and forth, I'm just curious, or I want to find out, or I want to know
Mhm.
if there's any outside influence.
I'm not sure where you like what.
Well, I'm not sure. I want to know. That's why I'm trying to figure out where this packet originates.
Okay.
Because
Again,
when you come to money, spending money,
mhm.
people tend to want to influence you and other entities.
Part
Okay,
of
yeah.
it comes from the committees too.
It would come, those type of requests would come through a committee. You know,
Okay.
either an economic development committee, personnel committee, housing committee, budget committee. They have to come and present to those committees, and then have to be approved at that committee level, and then passed to the quorum court to be passed by law.
I'm just always a little tentative when it comes to government spending our money. You know, I know there are back deals made, whether it's here or not, I don't know, but
Yeah, but
I'm always curious.
sure, you're
So.
come to the budget meetings.
I
You want to hear about the money?
Man, if I had more time, I've been to budget meetings, but it's been a
Good.
while.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but yeah, I can't. If I went to every meeting that I'm curious about, my gosh.
I hear you.
So when are the budget meetings? Since we're
They're to be determined.
Oh, okay.
There are no set, if there's an issue that comes up that we need to appropriate money for something
okay.
that's out of the ordinary, like all these things, or equipment for the sheriff, or
But they're always
Something for
announced
the
at
jail.
least 24 hours
they're always
before.
announced in advance. They're posted on the website, and they're also posted in the paper and
On
Okay.
KTLO.
on KTLO.
All right. Well, if 3 people get to see those, I think the bastard vote. Anyway, that's my commentary. That's it for another
Well,
day.
thank you, Dennis. We sure appreciate you stopping by
Well,
tonight.
Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
We'll have you back. It's only taken 6 months to get him on here. Maybe we'll take some.
I was
more
afraid you
next
guys
time.
were gonna give me a bunch of gotcha questions.
Well, the political season is just starting,
Good.
so there'll be.
Good.
I think after the holidays there'll be
Well,
hot and heavy. So
yeah,
come on back.
Now that I know you got this thing up, I mean, if I got something to say, I'll give Russ a call.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Good deal. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks
All
for
right.
coming. All right. Next up is going to be Eddie Griffin.
Eddie's not only the JP member, but he's also chief of the Mountain Home Police Department. So he's shifting his hat now to, I think, to the JP hat. We may ask him to shift it back to chief of police before it's over with.
But let's start by saying welcome.
Thank you.
You're currently District 8 JP.
That's correct.
You are, and you're running for the next term.
That's correct.
You are currently a police chief, Mountain Home Police Chief, and can you tell us a little bit more about your life in general before we
Sure,
get into the real
absolutely.
nitty gritty?
Sure. So I was born in Mountain Home, went to all 12 years of school in Mountain Home, graduated, joined the Army, got out of the Army, worked in the private sector for a little while, missed the structure of the military, so put in an application at Mountain Home Police Department. I've been there for right at 29 years. I spent 3 or 4 years in patrol, 20 as a detective, about 1 as assistant chief, and then I think I'm 4.5 into being chief. And got a wife, 2 boys, and no place is better than Mountain Home in Baxter County.
Well, I'd say you got that right.
Well, I think you better, you got some smoothing over about that
Oh,
wife,
oh, yeah.
We need to know a little bit more about your wife, we need to
Well,
hear about.
Well, I'll tell you this, this is pretty impressive in the world when people stay about 30 minutes on each job and move on. She will be retiring from North Arkansas Electric on December 31st and will have 39 years and 10 months in.
Wow,
So she's vested.
wow.
It's a pretty good stretch.
Oh, yeah.
She's just about the owner there.
Yeah, I wish, yeah, but no, she's been there a long time.
She's seen a lot come and go.
She has, and I think she's looking forward to retirement.
Well, good.
So what do you think about the JP situation? Do you have an opponent?
I
In the
do.
primary?
I do. Not in the primary. I have a Democrat opponent,
Okay.
so it'd be in the general election. But this is my first term. It seems crazy that I'm running for office when I'm only 11 months in. But I was pretty familiar with that type of thing just from being the police chief, dealing with city council, and I've enjoyed it. And it's kind of what I expected. And no big surprises.
So you're District 8. Where is District 8?
So I'm just south of Mountain Home. A little bit is above the bypass, but just south of Mountain Home, over towards, I believe it's County Road 69, which is east of Mountain Home, out towards Galveston.
Okay.
And a lot of Buford, but on the other part of Buford is also, I guess it would be District 11. So just kind of that south of Mountain Home, basically.
So you don't go all the way to the White River? Or
No,
do you?
no.
Okay.
So it depends on where
Our other guy
exactly, but
our
yeah.
other guy, guest tonight, went to the White River,
Yeah.
so I was
But,
trying to pit you against him.
But no, it's been kind of what I expected. I've enjoyed it and just hope to continue to serve.
So what's been what do you think is the highlight of your first, well, it's probably not even a year yet, is
Well,
it?
no, I don't know that.
That's a tough question there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, no, I don't care. I don't know that it's a highlight. There's been a couple that were a little more controversial than others, whether it be the murder, I don't know, just for the most part, where it's kind of like you spoke with Dennis, it's just you're approving the funding for different things, and it's pretty simple.
Jostling the funds around,
Yeah.
mostly.
Absolutely. So it's been just pretty much what I expected. I've enjoyed it. I really thought I would get more calls from people, but I maybe in 11 months have had 6 or 7 different people make phone calls to me and just picking my brain about things. But
Are they generally complaints or just?
well, I'm not saying everybody's
Seems like-
everybody's not just been thrilled with what I had to say, but hey,
It seems like you don't hear from
Well-
the government and politicians don't hear from the people until they have a complaint. Same with the cops.
Some people have been, they want to talk to you about the way they want you to vote, or just give you their thoughts on something. But hey, that's what it's about.
Well,
I mean, if you don't want a phone call, don't sign up.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
But I do find it kind of amusing. I'm not gonna pull your leg. I've had a couple people that want to throw out that. Well, you got to remember, you may want to be reelected. Well, it's like this. If I'm going to vote the way I see fit, the way I think is best for the community, and the people want me what they want, and if it costs me an election, so be it. I'm going to do what I think is right, where I can look at myself in the mirror, and if somebody doesn't like that, that's so be it.
You lose all that $375
Yeah.
a month.
There's been a lot of times in my life where $375 would have come in very handy, but thank God it's not quite so tight anymore, but, yeah, it's kind of funny but I've enjoyed it.
What kind of committees are you involved in?
I'm on budget and personnel.
Budget, so
So-
you work with,
Yeah, I'm just so happen to be on the same ones as Dennis, and it's very enjoyable, and, you know, the budget's pretty simple whenever you're operating at 82% of the revenue that's expected to come in. It's when funds gets tighter that it's a little bit more difficult, but it's been great.
And when you've got enough money to meet everything and do a little extra,
Oh, it
makes
is.
budgeting a whole lot easier than borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
You know, I tell people, whether it be about the county or about my day job, it's no different than at your house.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much money to be spent. You might want to set on a little bit in case something bad happens.
Right.
It's same theory. Just because we all want stuff, but do you need it and do you have to have it?
Yeah, you always have to have
Right.
that need pile covered first, and then you can start talking and looking at the want.
And if you, back to my wife, if you ask her, she'll tell you I'm very conservative on spending. I don't like getting rid of money, you know, when you grew up poor, you definitely don't wanna go back.
well, that's the best mentality as far
It
as
is.
I'm concerned.
It is.
There are too many politicians think they know how to spend my money best,
Right.
and they kind of forget where it's coming from.
Yeah, we gotta spend it. We
Yeah.
gotta spend it, you know.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
if it's
the
sitting there, we
others.
gotta spend it. Well, I just don't think they're, generally, as time goes on, as they stay in office too long, they tend to forget about being responsible with other people's money.
That's right.
You know. That's one of my biggest gripes about politics.
Yeah, thankfully, we don't see a lot here at the local level that we see taking place in DC. You know, on both sides of the aisle, there's things that I don't particularly like seeing. I believe in being positive and not trying to attack everybody and doing what's best for the community, whether that community is a local level, state level, or the country. I
So
mean,
you don't have a lot of lobbyists around here?
No, I've not had anybody want to lobby with me. No.
Well, Eddie, I'd like to shift gears for just a minute here, you know, and go over to your other job, your day job. You know, you and I were talking here, last week about some of the drug busts that you had recently. And, you know, you gave me some really good information that I haven't seen anywhere else in the media around here. Can you just go through some of that a little bit, you know, like, I know you were explaining where the drugs are coming from, and I found it really intriguing, the difference in cost now versus several years ago.
Oh, it is amazing. So most of the drugs that the people that work drugs here locally, there's a task force, and it's made up of all different agencies, local, state. That's the 14th Judicial Drug Task Force is what everybody's a part of, whether no matter the agency. But there's also where a task force officer can be attached to the federal level. So a lot of the times, you know, if somebody gets arrested, and we take that person and they're willing to go buy drugs from where they buy, and we go after that person, oftentimes it's federal money that is being used. And two, if somebody is charged federally, they pretty much do a day for a day. So, you know, they spend more time than at the local level. And, you know, what Russ was referring to, which absolutely blows my mind, in 1997, when I started police work, methamphetamine was, which is if you look at it by the gram, which is how we typically measure it, is equal sugar packets, 1 gram. It was $100. And now it's probably $10 to $15 a gram because it's so flooded. The market is so flooded. And back in my early days as an investigator, you had a lot of local people that were what we call cooking dope. They were manufacturing methamphetamine, buying the cold pills, and, you know, breaking it down, the ephedrine down to turn into methamphetamine. Now everything comes from Mexico. It's so prevalent. It's just ridiculous.
So you don't see many meth labs around anymore.
No, it would be crazy for anybody to do that. It's so plentiful, you know. Unfortunately, it's just the world we live in. And you know, Mountain Home, Baxter County, we're better than everywhere else. But it's just the it's just the world we live in. I would love to tell you that, oh, there's a way to stop drugs or whatever, but I think, you know, as long as human beings wanna, you know, alter their mood or whatever, whether it be with alcohol, drugs, or whatever, there's gonna be a market for it, and that's unfortunate.
I also found it intriguing, you were telling me about the difference in purity now that it's being cooked in, honest to God, laboratories
Right.
with a better controlled environment than it was back then, and the difference it had on the person's body.
Well, you know, when people were getting the cold tablets and breaking it down to get the ephedrine out and convert it into methamphetamine, you know, they were using things like heat that you put in your gas tank, different methods, and they were not getting the purities out as well. To where what's happening now, it's being cooked in giant labs by chemists, and it's a lot pure. I don't want to say better. That implies that it's good. It's work of the devil without question. But the quality is more potent and better, and you know.
So that reflects, it's not as easy to spot the meth users now, is it?
Well, and you used to see a lot of probably more places where they would have sores on their skins where the impurities were finding their way out of the bodies, but they still, you know, I don't think eating is a priority, you know, so.
There's an increase in meth activity, would you agree with that?
Yes.
And do you think that coincides with the open borders of the Biden?
Well, I mean,
or was it happening before?
It happens before, you know. I mean, I don't think the people that are manufacturing the methamphetamine in Mexico or the majority of the people using the methamphetamine in the United States really care about Democrat or Republican, you know.
Well, yeah, but I'm just wondering about the time frame.
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and pull your leg just because I'm a Republican. I can't tell that the amount of methamphetamine has went down in the past 11 months since there's a new administration. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I will say what I believe to be the truth, even if it's not popular.
Yeah.
And
They've got their
you know,
distribution network well
you know,
in place.
it's if one drug dealer is arrested, and I'm talking major drug dealers, there's somebody else willing to take his place instantly.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but that's, you know, it's the world we live in, and you know, the methamphetamine, probably for the past, I'm gonna say, roughly since 2010, it's just, you know, when it's really started coming out of Mexico, it's just went crazy. And
So is it
you
still
know,
going up?
yes, and as you know, there's been
Okay.
Democrat and Republicans at every level, but the demand is there. And they'll figure out a way to get it here, unfortunately. Hopefully, someday maybe something will change, but honestly, I don't know what it would be.
Well, and like you said, the demand is there.
Yeah.
And if there's a demand for something, there's gonna be suppliers that will meet that demand.
Absolutely, and you know, we hear things. I see it a lot of times, and again, this may not be all that popular, but you hear people say, well, they should lock people up longer. It's the prosecutor's fault. It's the judge's fault. It's this fault. The bottom line is the prisons are full. And you know, you want to pay more tax dollars to build more prisons. Well, probably not, but you know, it's not a simple solution.
That's right.
And it's unfortunate, but it's just not. So I wish I had an answer. If I had an answer, I'd probably be making a lot more money than I'm currently making.
You'd be working in DC, and
Yeah.
who knows what could happen.
Well, I hope I wouldn't be in
Let's
DC.
hope not.
But
Well,
no,
well, how about locally then? Do you see any illegals? Do you have any interaction with any, or?
not very many. You know, there's been there was I can't remember how long ago, there was a person that committed a crime that was Hispanic that was deported, but really we don't see a lot of that here, you know. And I'm not saying there's not people that are illegal out there, but it's not something that we deal with often. More often than not, it's when somebody is arrested that it's for some other cause, whether it be DWI or whatever, that is determined, and then they may you know, be deported or whatever.
But find out that they are illegal
Yes,
through
yeah.
another.
And you know, we had an arrest recently where it was kind of a massage place that bad things were happening at. Well, the lady that was here was on had a valid passport from China, but she was not doing, the passport only allows her to do certain things, and so ultimately
She expanded her business, apparently.
yeah. Well, she was on the passport she had. From what I understand, she wasn't even allowed to work. It was like an educational passport. So even if she had a totally legitimate job, it was still a violation of that passport. But what she was doing was well beyond any job being okay. So, but,
Well, Eddie, thank you much.
Oh, you
We
bet.
really appreciate that. We always enjoy having you on.
well,
you know,
thank you.
That's all I've got.
I'm really tapped out on questions. I'm sure after this is over, I'll think of something that I wish I'd asked you.
Well, that's the story of my life. I always think of stuff later on.
So, well, then, that being said, thank you. Come back anytime.
Great. Anytime,
I'm
just give me a
sure.
shout.
I'm
And
sure.
if you got, especially, I mean, if you got something, you know, some kind of police action or anything that you need, you'd like the word to get out, you know, we'll certainly.
Well, the only thing pertaining to police work, you know, I'll just say, I really feel privileged to be in this area, whether it be state, county, the city, all the agencies work good together, and you know, I know sometimes at the national level, we hear negative things about the FBI and ATF, and you know, locally, who we work with, they want what you want, you know, it's just have a good community to raise your loved ones in, and
They all got into law enforcement for the right
for the
reason.
right reasons, and we're so fortunate. We don't
Yeah.
have the turmoil that a lot of people have.
But, you know, we tend to be doing our business relative to the Republican committee, but I think we also are more than happy to get public information.
Oh,
So if you have
100%,
something,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
if you have something you need to talk to the
I'll-
community about, let us know.
I appreciate it
And you come
very
over.
much.
So I'll say thanks again, and we're gonna end this shortly, but we have a few meetings that I wanna announce. And these are ongoing. Quorum Court meets the first Tuesday each month, 5:30 p.m. at the Baxter County Courthouse. City Council meets the first and third Thursday at 5 p.m. at City Hall. City Planning Committee, second Monday, 1 p.m., City Hall. County Planning Committee, second Tuesday, 11 a.m., Baxter County Courthouse. A&P, third Tuesday, 3 p.m., City Hall. School Board, third Thursday, 6 p.m., that's on Rodeo Drive, I believe,
At the administration building.
Administration Building. Public Safety Commission, I think that's on as needed. I'm not sure.
For the
For the airport, used to be the airport committee.
Okay. I thought public safety
Yeah.
for the city meets tomorrow, which I guess would be the third Tuesday of every month.
Okay, and a very important one for all of you is Baxter County Republican Committee. We meet at generally last Tuesday each month, 6 p.m. at the VFW in Mountain Home. And
214 West 7th Street,
yeah, we're gonna have a meeting this month,
next
But-
Tuesday.
next
Week from
Tuesday,
tomorrow.
week from tomorrow, but I don't think we're having one in December,
That's correct.
if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. We take the month of December off.
So other than that, I'm gonna say thanks to everybody for joining us, and
See you next week.
good night.